Okay, so a bit of a video response this time to Fagan RS500. He's recently put up a video in regards to, forgetting retro console collecting and game collecting and moving on to emulation. He himself is a retro console, retro gaming collector, but he also does a lot of current gen gaming. In fact, he even said in the video that I'm responding to here that he predominantly games on current gen hardware these days. But in recent times, he's put up some videos with some of his systems failing. In particular, some of the rare and more expensive systems failing and stopping working. And then also he put up a video in regards to capacitor kits. So he's picked up cap kits in order to repair those consoles with a view to getting them working again. And anybody that's been into this hobby for a while and has had to deal with hardware that fails, capacitors, in particular capacitors that are leaking and failing, will know how much of a pain in the ass it can be. It really can be a pain in the ass to deal with that. I know in particular with the Mega CD that I've got, I went through a few different sort of bits and pieces. Ian at Mutant Caterpillar Games kind of Frankensteined me a Mega CD Model 1 in the end, recapped what he could and got everything up and running for me, which was great. But, there's consoles that are so old and some of the caps at various times were dodgy anyway. You'll see machines with leaky caps. Amiga CD32 is an example where there's machines that have got leaky caps that were put in the wrong way round during manufacturing, all number of different things. And basically, what Fagan RS500 was saying was, would you move to emulation for retro gaming? Would you exclusively just forget all your hardware, forget all your games, forget the collecting hobby, and just use emulation by whatever means that will be? PC, Raspberry Pi, or, Android-based machine, whatever. There's loads of different ways that you could do it. And it got me thinking, and I thought, yeah, actually, I could probably respond to this, because a bit like Fagan RS500, I've dabbled with emulation. In fact, way back when I was still in school, still in secondary school, is when I found out about Super Nintendo, Mega Drive/Genesis, and NES emulation back then. And it was really intriguing and really interesting, and I used emulation for quite some time to play classic games. Even with the PlayStation, when the PlayStation was still a current system and I was in college at the time, I still ran EPSXE because I was impressed that I could play PlayStation games on the PC. They looked great because of the emulation and the sort of upscaling, the higher resolution, and they performed pretty well. So that was good for me for a time, and that's what I did. But I don't prefer emulation. I would struggle. If, for whatever reason, the time came where I decided to sell on my retro hardware, my retro games, this setup, and just maybe stick to current gen console gaming only, I would struggle. I would big time struggle, because if I wanted to play some of the older classic games from NES, Master System, Mega Drive, Amiga, Commodore 64, PlayStation, etc., I would struggle to just rely on emulation and emulation only. It's nice to have as like a side thing, because there are occasions where I can't be arsed with getting everything set up and, having to rig up the retro machine, maybe having issues with the CD or the cartridge, and having to just, essentially just get it all set up. There are occasions where it's too much hassle for me. It's not that often, but it can be too much hassle. And you just think, screw it, let's switch on the Raspberry Pi, let's let RetroPie and Emulation Station fire up, and let's play games that way, because it's very, very easy. And it works really, really well. If you get it all set up, it does work well, and it's my recommendation for a lot of people that fancy playing some retro games, but they're not a big-time hardcore retro gamer. But for me, I'd struggle with it. If that day ever came, I would struggle, and I would have to just probably forget playing these older games full stop, because I don't think I could do it. It sounds strange and sounds stupid, but I don't think I could go back to just using emulation full stop and not playing the older hardware. I just couldn't do it. I prefer having the original machine, the original games in my hands, although I do use flash cartridges, it has to be said, and some backup media for the optical-based systems, optical drives. And also, one such option I've explored with things like the Dreamcast and the Saturn is actually to get one of those optical drive emulators like the GDEMU or the RIA or the Phoebe or whatever it is. I have looked at that before because it would make things super easy. But anyway, I would struggle. I don't think I could do it. There will come a day, I'm sure, when I will wake up and I'll be fed up with having all this kit around, because I've got a lot of stuff, a lot of games, some stuff that's quite rare and expensive as well. And if these things start failing, or if I start having issues like I've had with the Multi-Mega, Sega Multi-Mega that is, that's going to cost me quite a bit of money to replace, if I needed to replace it, because they're going for ridiculous sums of money because they're rare bits of Sega hardware. There's other things I've got too that if they stopped working, you know, for whatever reason, and I was really that bothered about them, it's going to cost me quite a bit of money to replace if I can't repair them, or I can't get someone to help me with the repairs like I've had to do in the past. So yeah guys, it's definitely food for thoughts of what would I do and what would you guys do as well, especially some of you guys that post on my videos that are retro collectors or retro enthusiasts yourself. What would you do if you were faced with that situation where you just didn't want to have all that old hardware lying around anymore? You didn't want to go out picking up games, or you didn't want all those old games on your shelf. You know, would you seek emulation and just stick with that? Would you be happy doing that? Personally, I don't think I would, but it remains to be seen. It may come one day and I may still want to play retro games and I would stick to using emulation at that point probably, but at the moment right now my gut feeling is no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't just rely on emulation. I need these machines. The nostalgia's there, the fact that you're putting the games in the machine. I mean, okay, unlike Fagan RS500 who's using CRT televisions or, you know, professional monitors, BVMs, PVMs, whatnot, to really give him that authentic experience when he's playing these games with his hardware. You know, unlike him, I'm using a FrameMeister and an OLED 4K television. You know, I still need those machines. I still need this setup because I absolutely love it. I really do. But anyway, guys, I've waffled on and rambled on enough. But thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think if you were faced with that situation, because I'd be interested to know how you think you would approach it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.